Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Football is Fixable Alright podcast. It's the dream team, the dynamic duo. Hi, Cess. How are you?
Alright. Yeah. Back to the usual.
Alright.
Yeah. None of that fluff.
Yeah, yeah. I've been looking forward to this episode because, we can just get, like you say, none of that fluff, none of that rubbish. We can just get down to it. None of this Liverpool hate as well, which has been, I've noticed, building in recent episodes.
Yeah. Random Liverpool hate. We just wanted to talk about Arsenal, and then all of a sudden it's like, the reason why Liverpool's so bad.
Yeah. Just out of nowhere sort of thing. I
agree.
And our fans have been complaining about it, so we've ditched Dan this week.
Yeah. It just kind of feels as though we just put down a 10-kilo rucksack, I feel lighter now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like training under like heavier gravity or something.
Exactly.
Like weighted,
Yeah.
Remember when we played football with like weighted, was it like straps to our legs and stuff? We used to put those weights on to test ourselves a bit more and stuff,
That was funny. Yeah. It was like 1 kilo or 2 on either side. Was it 1 on either side? So it's 2 overall.
I think it might have been. Oh, yeah, maybe. It was just, but it did feel, it adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I remember we won the game, and then we were, after, there was a guy on the other team. Do you remember Mark?
Yeah.
He come up to me and said, "Oh, you only scored 2 today then?" And I'm sat on the floor taking off these weights. And, "What is that on your leg?" I said, "Oh, these are just weights." He went, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah, it's like Dragon Ball, isn't it?
That
was in one of the Dragon Ball episodes when Goku took off all the weighted clothes.
Oh, yeah. He chucks it on the floor or like cracks the floor.
Yeah.
I've got to bring this up before we get into the episode like properly today. Do you see Burnley v Spurs, proper relegation scrap going on over the weekend?
Oh, wow. Relegation scrap. I mean, I would say that's just your Arsenal bias, but that's actually quite quite relevant.
It's actually not far off, is it?
No.
It was in the news. Actually, Tottenham could be dragged into a relegation scrap. I mean, they are that bad at the moment. But can I say, the fans, this come out of the game when Burnley were winning at one point, and the Burnley fans were chanting, "How something must you be? We're winning at home." That kind of chant that fans have and stuff.
Yeah.
But then the Tottenham fans reacted by, "You're nothing special, we lose every week." And the Burnley fans clapped, like, respect for how,
Yeah.
What I'm just thinking with that is, the two managers in the dugout hearing that, are they just, like, glancing over at each other going, this is not good.
It'll be difficult for them to actually enjoy it, wouldn't it? Because at the very least, the Burnley manager would be thinking, we kind of expected to be in this scrap. But the Spurs manager, people used to like Thomas Frank.
Yeah.
Now it's just a matter of
I still do.
enough.
Yeah, exactly. In some ways, I like him even more now.
Yeah, he's doing you good.
Yeah, he's definitely doing well. But what happened is they'll sack Frank before the Arsenal game in a few weeks' time, and then they'll get that new manager bounce, and they'll somehow fluke a result against us or something. So I hope he stays for the long term. That's my hope, anyway.
See, this is another thing I mean about the whole what's wrong with football and rivalry. Because you want Frank to make Spurs bad. You should be wanting Frank to turn Spurs round so you have a great North London derby.
Yeah, that can be next season. After Arsenal have won the league and we've got that under our belt, fine. For this season, it's funny.
Yeah,
it's great.
We'll find out next season then. I'll ask you again.
All right. Can I bring in an off the post?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, this week I saw a post online, and it was somebody posted about how the Prem used to be, and it was a picture of the 2011-12 season and all the clubs that were in there. You've got all the traditional Big Six and stuff.
Yeah.
It's got QPR, Norwich, Wigan, West Brom, Sunderland, and all.
Oh, wow.
I know Sunderland are back in now. Even Bolton was in that season.
Oh, yeah.
And the quote says, "None of this Brighton and Bournemouth woke, I can't say this next word, woke stuff, proper football clubs." And I thought, what do you mean proper football clubs? Some of the comments underneath I thought were... Somebody said it's woke for a start. Somebody responded, "Woke League one side. Brighton have been in the Premier League longer than the proper Premier League, like Wigan, Swansea and Wigan. Our league doesn't need the likes of Brighton and Brentford. We need proper teams like West Brom and Wigan again." Hint of sarcasm there.
That was a proper game of football, It's like really rough game. So that's maybe what they're thinking.
That's football.
Yeah, that's the beauty of football.
That's it. And that's my off the post.
I remember about 10 years ago maybe, you pointed at a tree and you went, "That's a proper tree."
Well, it was though, wasn't it? What was it? A beer garden, wasn't it? That view.
Yeah.
You know, it was a really nice. What was it, like an apple tree or an oak tree or something? I don't know. It was a huge. When you think of a tree,
I'm pretty sure if it's a proper tree, it's not just going to be an apple tree.
Oh, that's true. Oh yeah, that's true. It's probably like an oak tree or something. I don't know. But you know, when you think, draw a tree, that would be like the perfect drawing. It was like, you know.
To be fair, yeah. I mean, it looked like a very large version of a broccoli.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like
that's
a proper tree. So I know what you mean. But you did also ask me what a pear tree was.
Don't get onto the honey badger quote either. All right, we haven't got time for the quotes that you've written down that I've said over the years. You actually have a folder of all those quotes, but we haven't got time for that.
It's a book now.
Just in Dan's absence, I know I said the whole Liverpool hate thing earlier, you know, it's good to not have it. But I do have to mention, I mean, watching them at the moment is quite funny, isn't it?
Oh, you know what? Yesterday I was talking to a friend and he asked me, so how do you think Liverpool will do? And I said, well, it's going to be a difficult game for them. And I said it as a joke.
Oh.
I didn't actually think it was going to happen.
Yeah, especially Bournemouth.
Apart from me did.
Yeah, you know, well, there is that. I mean, Liverpool have been on this unbeaten streak of 13 games, whatever it is, but they haven't been playing well. But Bournemouth are like near relegation. They've been really struggling. They've lost their star players like Semenyo and stuff. And then, Bournemouth end up winning it. And if it wasn't for Szoboszlai, you know, Liverpool Szoboszlai this season, he's like dragged them up the table a bit. He's like putting in some really decent performances. Without him, I wonder like where he'd be. Where is it they got him from?
Hungary?
Not right now, Cess. We got work to do.
There's something that I wanted to bring up, which I think should be the topic of this episode. And it's quite apt that we can talk about this when Dan's not here, because it's something that he does quite often, and it's dribbling.
Well, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a pun, by the way, just to let the viewers know.
I don't know, I can sense like an HR inquiry happening soon, but go for it.
Well, luckily it comes to me, so I can just throw it in the bin.
God, imagine a world where you're the head of HR. Wow.
It'd be amazing. But yeah, I wanted to talk about dribbling because there's been a lot of talk recently about sort of the art of dribbling and which players currently and in history have been good dribblers. Really, with flair, with, I don't know, other fantastical words.
I wonder actually, because like dribbling, you don't seem to get, dribbling like how you think anyway. You don't just mean running with the ball, but it is like flair and beating players and that type of thing, which because football's become so like risk averse, everything's about minimising risk. Not enough players. It seems like, I don't know, just going on the eye test anyway. It doesn't seem like
It's just being coached out of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't seem to get those Mavericks like when we were growing up watching, like Ginola and Ronaldinho and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can always hear from John Barnes did an episode on the what's Gary Neville's podcast?
Stick to Football.
Stick to Football. Yeah, John Barnes did one recently, and he was talking about how when he was playing, a lot of it was more down to your personal ability and what you're capable of doing with the ball. You don't necessarily get coached in that way.
Go and show what you've got kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas now goalkeepers have a goalkeeping coach, defenders have a defending coach, and so the wingers, they have coaches specifically to become the kind of wingers that managers want nowadays, which is not someone with flair. It's not your Hazards, not your Ginolas, all these players. You want a winger that will, like you say, mitigate the risk and basically back pass if there's no possibility to cut in or make a cross. I mean, even crosses now. That's a risk, isn't it? So they barely do crosses nowadays.
Yeah, you hear Shearer always ranting about, get it in the box. I'd be having to go up the winger. But it's not the winger's fault. Like you say, they're coached out of it, really.
Yeah.
You're giving the ball,
Henry and Carragher. Yeah, Henry and Carragher were talking recently about the art of dribbling. And Henry made a good point that a lot of players that are fast, people think of as having either flair or the ability to dribble the ball. Like, for example, Adama Traore?
Oh, the big, the huge guy who can run at a million miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, Theo Walcott as well, Everton legend. And
Arsenal legend.
No, I told you before, he was already an Everton legend when he played for you guys. He was just played for you guys first.
Oh, just building
That's
up to
really
it.
Was.
Building up to becoming the... Oh, okay. Got you.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, those are the kind of players that they were incredibly fast, and they're some of the fastest players we would see in the Premier League history.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the kind of ability to be able to dribble the ball. You could see that if they had time on the ball and they had space in front of them, they would get up to full speed, but then they weren't able to get past the player because they don't have the technical ability to dribble the ball.
Or maybe, I wonder if it's the intelligence as well, Like, I remember we used to joke that you could see Walcott thinking, like he was trying to... It's almost like he was better when he didn't have the time to think. It was more instinctive kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's the same with Sterling as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
great
Sterling,
example.
he's got to be one of the worst dribblers of the ball I've ever seen. I don't remember him actually going past the player. He would just lose the ball if he tried to go past the player. And if anything, he kind of started this whole wingers passing backwards. Do you remember the number of times we saw him play and we were like, oh, there, he's passing backwards. 5 yards.
We jokingly did a counting like one time, didn't we, watching him play? And how many times did he actually beat a player, or how many times did he lose the ball? And so, look, I know our listeners might think, well, you're picking on him, that's not very nice. But the thing is, don't forget, he's paid a heck of a lot, and he was being bigged up a lot as well by loads of people because of the goals he was getting. Little do they know that he was basically coached to make this one little run towards the edge of the back post where he'd get a tap in, and he missed a lot of tap ins as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Can I just say, when he left Arsenal from the loan, a few comments come up on the Arsenal kind of fan pages and stuff. Things like, the streets will forget what he has done for us. The top 10 wingers we had this season. One of the players of all time, and struck fear in the hearts of the fans when he came on.
Yeah.
I mean, that just kind of shows what he did for Arsenal when he was on loan.
Normally, Arsenal fans they're the kind of people that they forget all reality when they become Arsenal players. You guys were always talking about how terrible Jorginho is for Chelsea, and then as soon as he went to Arsenal, he's all right, actually.
Arsenal
pretty
legend.
Good.
Yeah. Brilliant player. Don't know what you're talking about.
So for you guys to turn against Sterling, I mean, that's very telling.
Well, you were celebrating, weren't you? Remember the end of the transfer window? And it's like, go on, sign Sterling, because we were being linked with him, and you celebrated when it went on the deadline day or whatever it was. I was... Yeah, that was fun. Ruined my night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so let's get back to dribbling, shall we? Going off a bit on a Sterling tangent.
Sorry about that.
But I would say that when it comes to dribbling, it doesn't have to be about speed. Firstly, I don't think you need any speed at all. Because if I think of one of the best dribblers of the ball, like in history, I would say Sergio Busquets.
Oh, Busquets.
Yeah, and I would say he's one of the slowest players I've ever seen.
He is
It was
slow.
like watching... Yeah, it's like Peter Crouch, he was quite lanky, and it just seemed like he was really slow. But the technical ability that he had, the kind of shoulder drop, the no-look turn that he had.
But that's also what I was saying before. I
incredible.
think a big part of that is the intelligence, because he was so aware of the space around him. He knew how to keep the ball under very tight circumstances. He didn't have to outrun players to beat them. He was, and that's what made him so good. But that's very difficult to do. So it's
really
interesting.
difficult, because it's
I don't think of him as a dribbler, but you make a good case.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, if you think of a dribbler, you're thinking of Hazard, Ronaldinho, Neymar. These kind of players, they also had flair. I would say that Busquets didn't have any flair. He did what was necessary, kind of like Messi. The difference between Messi and Ronaldo's dribbling is that Messi didn't really have flair. He did what was necessary to get past the player, whereas Ronaldo, he would do these step-overs, he would do flicks and tricks, and he wouldn't be able to get past the player.
Often, he'd do all the flicks and tricks and then just pass it back to the midfielder or something.
Yeah. When he was at United, he was definitely, I would say, good at dribbling. He had a lot of needless flair, but he also had the speed, the ability, the intelligence to be able to get past players as well. That's what made him so ferocious in the Prem.
True.
But later on, he kind of lost the speed and lost that ability to get past players, but he still had this flair that made him think as though he was a great dribbler and made the Ronaldo fans think as though he still had flair, which he didn't.
Wow, look at that. That's like, when you see all those people doing like keepy uppies and round the world and all this type of stuff, right? And I've always said, but you don't do that on a football field. There's no time I've been on the football field where I'm doing keepy uppies. You're just going to get clattered. Well, I don't know about these days, but you're not going to be on the field. It's not if you can do keepy uppies and little tricks and flicks. It's more about, can you beat a player? And like you say, Messi, I don't really remember him doing much sort of flary things at all. It was kind
Not
of, it
really,
was always
no.
functional, wasn't it? It's like, I'll take this touch because it will get me past this player and stuff like that. He was very functional, very efficient at what he did.
The only two players that I can think of that had those kind of like easy on the eye flair, and they used it practically, were probably Ronaldinho and Neymar.
Ooh. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I mean, if you say, like, what is flair? Is flair just showing off? Because it's not necessary,
yeah, I
isn't
would
it?
say
Because
that.
Messi doesn't have to do it. So is flair just showing off?
Messi doesn't have to.
Or is it functional?
Yeah.
Does it actually... sometimes you think, like, when we were first playing, we try flicks and tricks. Is it to confuse the opposition to help you beat the player? Or has it become a bit just a showy off thing?
I think it's a bit of both. It probably, in Ronaldinho's time, I would say it was it was probably more showy offy, because that was the whole thing about Joga Bonito, the Brazilian style, late 90s, early 2000s, with R9, Rivaldo, Roberto Carlos. They all had that kind of flair, and they played on the beach, and they kind of like learned to have to do keepy-uppies in order to keep it off of the sand, and it probably worked its way into professional football. So I would say those kind of things are showy offy, but the thing about Ronaldinho, like I say, is I think he used it practically as well. And I think Neymar took it to another level.
No, I don't know about that. I think the opposite in terms of, like, Ronaldinho back then, when he was doing those tricks, a lot of the defenders he was coming up against hadn't ever done it before, hadn't ever come up against it before, so they didn't know what he was going to do. On the perfect pitches that Neymar is kind of playing in, I think a lot of Neymar, what he was doing, is showing off, if I'm honest. I
agree with that, but I think both of them were showing off, really. I think the difference is, I'm not necessarily saying that Neymar is better than Ronaldinho.
Well, it sounds like
I am. Yeah, I definitely am.
Well, he isn't. No, not having that.
Well, let me put it this way. If I had to choose between the two, I would choose Ronaldinho because of the diving. The diving is something that I hate so much. And Ronaldinho used to dive as well, but nowhere near as much as Neymar.
Yeah,
and
that's one reason
despise that. Yeah. Most of what I think about Neymar is the diving, and it puts such a black mark on his career. But the thing is, what he's achieved, if we say don't just look at the stats and don't just look at trophies, but if you look at every single metric, he was better than Ronaldinho.
Really? Did he win more, though? Ronaldinho
he won more.
Did he?
The only thing that Ronaldinho has more than Neymar is the World Cup. But okay. I would say Ronaldinho winning the World Cup in 2002 with people like Rivaldo, R9, one of the best international teams we've ever seen, and the Brazil teams that Neymar's had to play with, I would say that's kind of fair enough. It's like saying, well, do we say Harry Kane isn't a good striker because he was playing with Tottenham and he didn't win anything?
Did Neymar win the Ballon d'Or?
He came third a couple of times.
Well, in which case I trump you there. Yeah, Ronaldinho won it. What was it, 2005? Coincidentally, he shouldn't have won it because Henry should have won it that year. But at the same time, Ronaldinho did win it. So, straight away that puts him ahead of Neymar, right?
So Ronaldinho didn't have to play alongside Messi and Ronaldo at their peaks. I think it's fair to say Neymar coming third after those two, that probably is a Ballon d'Or worthy trophy on its own,
I don't know. The thing is as well, I know we're sort of getting a bit diverted again, aren't we, in terms of we're arguing about these two players now. But in terms of, I would say Ronaldinho I'm having over Neymar as well, because he was able to do those flicks, tricks under difficult circumstances where we've talked about this before, like defending was a better standard back then. Defenders were allowed to be a lot more physical with you, and yet he was still able to flick it over them and dribble it around them. And also the pitches one is perfect, so interpreting where it was going to go, that beach football that you mentioned, Ronaldinho brought that to the football pitch, and it was just an art. And watching him smile as he beat players, it was just a joy watching Ronaldinho play.
And he's an absolute legend, one of those streets will never forget kind of people.
Like
I say, I would still choose. Yeah, I would still choose Ronaldinho. The thing is, the reason I say that Neymar took it to another level is because I think he started off in Brazil at the age of 16 or 17 or something on terrible pitches, and he won the Puskás Award while he was there.
Oh,
he took it from the halfway line, dribbled all the way through. Yeah, when he was a kid, before he even went over to Europe. And he was chosen for Brazil when he was a teenager. He was like the first one since Pele to be chosen while still playing in Brazil. And then coming over to Barcelona, he was still under the shadow of Messi, but by no means was he overshadowed in that sense. He became part of the MSN, probably the best trio that we've ever seen.
No, I disagree.
That's because you think Bergkamp, Perez and Henry are the best ever.
Well, yeah, there's those. And then I'd say the Henry, Eto'o and Messi trio there as well were probably close as well.
I wonder why. Yeah. I mean, if you think of the MSN, the number of goals they scored is just mental. And the trophies they won as well. They won a treble. I think they were the ones that won the sextuple, wasn't it?
I think, didn't Henry's team win the sextuple as well?
Oh, was it Henry's team? I can't
so.
remember now. But yeah. But anyway, I would say that what Neymar achieved isn't necessarily just down to the fact that it's better pitches or anything like that, because he proved it as a teenager on terrible pitches. And then when he came over, he was still able to adapt to the far higher standards from playing for Santos in Brazil to going to Barcelona, and he's the all-time Brazil top scorer as well. And he's never been the, furthest forward. He's always been the kind of number 10 or wide player.
I mean, Ronaldinho, he wasn't the biggest, saying Neymar wasn't either, in terms of being the best professional. It's a kind of different era.
Yeah.
I just think Ronaldinho was just magic. When I watch Neymar, there's moments where you think, wow, how did he do that? Whereas Ronaldinho, that's every game. Every game he was just dribbling, he was controlling the ball from a really, like a 70-yard pass on his back. He was just
that was the best ability that he had. Those ones where he just did it. Like, what makes you think I'll control it with my back? That just makes no sense.
It was for entertainment purposes. It was a bit showy-offy, but it was for entertainment purposes, wasn't it? And that's sometimes what football's all about. But for me, flair and all that isn't just what dribbling is. There's some brilliant dribblers out there without the flair. Like you mentioned about Busquets and stuff like that. I could say, like Saka, for example. He's brilliant at getting past players. He's so good, but he doesn't often. He's not the one flicking it over his head. And
he's got zero flair, hasn't he? He does exactly what's necessary, really.
Yeah, he's a modern day kind of risk-averse dribbler in a sense, but he's one that's very successful at it, and that's probably why he stands out in people who actually understand football. He's so good at beating players.
Yeah, kind of. I suppose Arsenal's always really had that kind of, Perez, for example, he could go past players. He was a good dribbler, but he had no flair either.
No, genius, but he wasn't someone who would do a lot of the showing off. Henry did have the flair. Yeah. He would be a bit Ronaldinho-like, but I think sometimes that fools people.
He wouldn't.
Listeners. Yes, he did. Listeners, go and watch some Henry dribbling and tell me if you think he's Ronaldinho-like. Cesc doesn't always talk about.
He dribbled well with his hand, didn't he, against Ireland? Yeah.
Right. Moving on. Well, if I can just say one more thing, is that whether they have flair or whether they don't, there's not enough dribbling. For the reasons we were saying earlier, being coached out of it, I think maybe an ability thing as well. We've talked about in previous episodes about the Mavericks and stuff you don't tend to get anymore. And it's a combination of factors, no doubt, like, again, being coached out of things and stuff. But I think that ability for players to go and express themselves is kind of like slowly edged its way out the game. It's kind of, we don't see it very much anymore. Even Saka, who I love to bits, but
from a young age.
Yeah, kind of
from
like
a young age, that's it. It's exactly that. They've been told, and they've kind of been forced away from this maverick idea. When we were young, it's not as though we were trying to do Ronaldinho tricks, but we wanted to get the ball and keep it maybe a bit more than we should, maybe try a few things that we shouldn't, just to be able to enjoy the game. Whereas now, it's probably just a matter of that's not what you do. You keep the ball. It's all possession based.
Well, things are so statistics based as well. Players are judged after the game on how many times they lost possession in things. How many clinical passes did you make? How many times did you lose possession? So it's kind of like stats heavy now. Football has moved away from those individual moments. That's why you don't see those magic goals as much anymore, like lobbing the keeper and flicks and tricks and stuff. It's so rare you get it. Well, there we are. So dribbling is a real problem currently in football. We need to fix it by the sounds of it. But first, should we get into our half-time head scratcher?
Yeah, that's it.
Hello everyone, I hope you're not missing me too much. For this week's half-time head scratcher, I'm going to ask about dribbling. Who do you think holds the most successful dribbles in a single 90-minute match? Find out the answer after the break. Before the break, I asked you, who had the most successful dribbles in a single 90-minute match? Well, according to Opta analysts, Karim Bellarabi has the most successful dribbles with 17 in a single game for Bayer Leverkusen versus Werder Bremen in 2015. That beats Messi's successful 16 against United, Zanetti's successful 16 against Dynamo Kiev, and Neymar Jr.'s successful 16 against Atalanta. All very impressive numbers, but Karim wins them all. And that's your halftime head scratcher.
Thanks, Dan, for actually helping us out for once. Alright, Cess, before we can get onto the fixes and we can concentrate properly on it, I think we need a bit of sense or nonsense. I'll let you decide. Here's Cess's sense and nonsensibility.
We talked a bit about Burnley and Tottenham's football chants earlier in the episode, and I've always wondered, who starts them? Who came up with the idea of the football chant, and then how do you get thousands of people to do it? It doesn't make sense. So does someone go around saying, hey guys, I've got a new song, these are the words, let's sing it together? Or do you try and encourage others to? Or are there a group of 6 or 7 of you and then you just hope, like a Mexican wave, it just reverberates around the rest of the stadium? Who actually starts these and who comes up with them? Because some of them are brilliant. You're Nothing Special, We Lose Every Week is one of my favourite ones, and I want to know who it was that invented it first, because they need to get royalties on that, and that is my sense and You know, something that I've always been kind of against when it comes to football, and you and Dan have been very supportive of it,
right,
is this whole idea of the beauty of football. You know, that's what's unique about football.
Yeah.
And I've always said there is nothing unique about football, aside from hooliganism, I suppose.
Whoa.
And the idea of hating rivalries instead of liking rivalries.
All right, you've made your point.
But actually, there is something else to add to that, I would say. Something that you could say is the beauty of football is the maverickness, the Yoga Bonito, the Ronaldinho style, the Neymar style flair. Like when Neymar came in, he kind of was like a refreshing take on Ronaldinho, wasn't he? Because Ronaldinho was coming towards the end of his career, and we'd already started to miss these kind of mavericks. And so Neymar was refreshing. He was fun to watch. And that's something that's been completely coached out of football, and it just takes away from this idea of like watching football for the enjoyment. Now it's all about trying to gain success, you know?
Yeah, probably because of the huge financial aspect to it. The clubs are desperate to, there's so much money in winning and getting high up in the league and stuff like that, isn't there? Getting to the next round and things like that. That it's money driven now. It's more than, because football is an entertainment. And I know I've said on a previous episode, our favourite players, yours being R9, mine being Burkamp, they were mavericks. They were able to do stuff on their own, like go and inspire, go and do something magic. And you don't get that anymore, like you say, because of the coaching and stuff. I wonder also the refs, because they were hacked all the time. I wonder if the refs these days, they need to protect.
Oh, I thought you meant hacked as in like, I thought you meant hacked as in their emails.
Oh, no. Well, maybe that as well. That could be another reason why, it puts people off wanting to dribble if they're going to get hacked. But yeah, I think the refs, Saka's fouled every week and so rarely gets the free kick sometimes. It's just Cucurella against Chelsea a few games ago. He was just, all he can do is kick Saka in the ankles and drag him down.
It's all about Cucurella again.
It's just
I don't understand you and Dan just constantly having a go at Cucurella and Liverpool.
I just can't get over his hair, mate. That's all. That's all it is.
Yeah, the very David Luiz hair, isn't it?
So basically they need to stop like punishing the risk takers by letting them get hacked. You need to, like you say, the coaching side. I think there needs to be Maverick school. I mean, I know you've got your
Maverick school.
I think there needs to be a Maverick like college, where it trains them to be Mavericks again. You're doing a lot. You've got the CES app, and there's various other things. You've got to help all fans be allocated to the right clubs and this type of thing, true. Right? So this is one I'm going to take for the team. I'll set up the Maverick school, because being a Maverick, being a number 10, I can just, and being a teacher as well, I could put those two things together, and
How are you a Maverick? Between the two of us, you are not the Maverick.
I was the number 10 in our Sunday League side. You were the right back.
I was a right back. I was more usually right back, right mid or left mid. I was the winger. I was the flary guy. I would say I was the Eden Hazard to your Emil Heskey.
I would say you were more
just
like
this
the Gary Neville
number
to my
10.
Dennis Bergkamp, I would say.
Dennis Bergkamp? You were just standing there going, I want the ball to come to me. I'm not going to the ball. If it's not coming to me, I'm not doing anything.
So we need these Mavericks, right? We need to have more players encouraged to take risks. Yes, I agree that there are times, but that's where the intelligence comes in. There are times when you need to play it safe, but we need to switch it from, instead of 90-10, we need to make it more kind of 60-40, where there's a bit more kind of take a gamble, have a shot, try a bit of flair, try and beat a player,
Yeah. And a lot of it is money as well. I mean, probably most of it is money, because the owners now, they spent so much money, and so much money is going towards the players and the managers and everything, that they want success. And nowadays it's more about success at all costs.
Financial success usually rather than football sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you can see that with Arsenal, really, because, like you say, Saka, he's probably the best dribbler in the team, and yet he's got no Maverick flair.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's all about mitigating risks. Yeah.
And he's so good at that. He's perfect for what Arteta wants. He keeps the ball. He so rarely loses it, and he beats players, but not in a showy-offy way. He'll pass it back when he has to. And
Whereas Martinelli, I would say, on the other side, he has a lot of flair, but he can't really take it past players.
No, yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think it does come down to that intelligence. Like I say, so that Gabby needs to come to my Maverick school that I'm going to set up, and I'll be able to coach some intelligence into him on the sort of go and express yourself. Part of it, I think, is the confidence. Don't just pass it back. Maybe it needs to be, all right, here we go. How about this? Could we make it in the football rules that if you pass it back more than 3 times in a half, then you get a sin bin or something? Or you get a yellow card.
Oh, wow.
You get a yellow card if you pass it back 3 times.
The opposite of rugby, basically. You can't pass backwards.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. The opposite of rugby. The anti-rugby rule.
That.
I like the sound of that as well.
Yeah. Maybe like only certain players can pass backwards.
Yeah.
If you sign yourself up to be a forward, then you're not allowed to pass backwards.
You know that there's that Ballers League where they try really quirky rules and different penalty kicks.
Yeah.
I think it's that sort of thing where they should trial it there, and I reckon it'd make it a really good game.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I'd love that. Maybe another fix would be that we're saying the problem is that people are being coached out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to get rid of coaches.
Get rid of coaches. I mean,
yeah.
That's an easy fix, because you could actually say you're only allowed like in the old days there used to be the manager and the assistant manager, and you might have a goalkeeping coach or something like that, but they've got a coach, like you say, for everything now. They've probably got a coach for eating dinner. It's so well, they have personal chefs and everything, but it's just become overly coached. I'm definitely with you in terms of we need to limit the amount of coaching. That's a genuine fix there. They need to be a little bit more expressive. More encouragement, maybe even financial bonuses. Like the Puskas award you were talking about with Neymar. Maybe the Premier League.
Like you get more financial bonus the fewer coaches you have.
I was going to say for every match week or something, who was the most expressive player was what I was thinking. But yeah, you could could ban the coaches as well. But in terms of like the Puskas Maverick or the Maverick Award. That's what
Maverick Award.
I'm calling it the Maverick Award. Every match week in the Premier League says 38 like player of the week type of thing,
Yeah,
but it's whoever was the most maverick, did something out there.
Yeah,
I think that's
just trying to encourage it, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, I'm proud. That's my best fix this season. I'm having that.
You know what? For once, you've done a good job there.
It's without Dan. That that heavy weight on my back. I feel like I can express myself.
He's been holding you back.
Yeah, he's been coaching me out of it. And speaking about being held back by Dan, I think it's time we've got into some fantasy football chat, isn't it, Seth? Here's John's juicy tips. Juicy.
I'm dribbling all over your tips, John.
John's juicy tips.
Alright, with the new manager bounce working for United and Chelsea, it's time to get those players in your teams. So, here's some tips. In defence, it's Patrick Dorgu for United. He's cheap as chips, and he's the highest scoring defender over the last 5 weeks, so it's time to get him in. In midfield, it's Brian Mbeumo for United. He's playing as a centre-forward under Carrick's tactics, and he's scoring goals. Plus, he's cheaper than Fernandes. And up front, I vote for Pedro for Chelsea. He's a very streaky player, and he's scored in his last 2 games, so it's time to get on him. Juicy.
Thanks, John, as always. And, well, at the point of recording, John is back on top of our league. For the second week running, he is the guru leading the way at the moment. Whereas Dan
must
is
be loving it.
Yeah, Dan is holding us all back, though. He's at the very back. He's supporting us from the rear, shall we say.
He's a very good second in command.
Don't belittle yourself like that, Sess. I'd say you're second in command. Saying that, where are you? You're quite a way down. Wait, 29th. I've got down to
keep
you now.
Scrolling.
There you go.
Yeah.
But then Dan's even further than that. So far, so good this week for me. I'm pushing back close to the top 10. I'm not quite there yet, but we've still got 1 or 2 points to be allocated. So yeah, it's all getting interesting. And if you want to join our league, you can enter with the code SD4GZV and see if you've got what it takes. Well, there we are then. We fixed dribbling, which that sounds funny when you say it like that, but it's a really important fix for football, I think, don't you reckon?
I think so. Brings the flair back, the enjoyment, and you've agreed with me now that Neymar has a bigger legacy, I suppose, than Ronaldinho.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know the kids love Neymar. I know, but for me, Ronaldinho all the way. I mean, if you brought Ronaldinho onto any surface, under any condition, he could just light it up. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I would say that's the same with Neymar. And the younger listeners, my fans, I think they all agree with me.
Oh, you reckon? Well, let me put it this way. In my new MAVERICKS school that I've invented, I'd be getting Ronaldinho in as a guest speaker. Neymar, he'd be diving all over the place. So I don't think that would be it would be a health and safety hazard. So
that's true. You'll go to shake his hand and you'll be rolling on the floor.
Holding his face. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there we are. We fixed dribbling. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great week. And it's goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.